Well, hello everybody. I think we all know that CES was back with a vengeance this year. Over 100,000 visitors came to Las Vegas, and many more people read the news and streamed the live streams and really just kind of gobbled up and consumed all the new ideas and the electronics and the technology that was taking place. In this special video, I wanted to interview some members of our community and understand what their takeaways were, especially for marketers, brand executives, retailers, and beyond, and to see what we can do with this technology and where it's going to lead us in 2023 and beyond. So let's talk to Phil Sage. Phil, you're part of the design innovation team at PepsiCo. What brings PepsiCo and yourself to the Consumer Electronics Show?
It's a great question, and I think it's really important that not just this show, but any show all over the globe, which is within scope, outside the scope of food and beverage, really to draw inspiration and to draw and understand what trends we're going to be facing in the next several years ahead. In order for us to kind of use that as building blocks for new experiences that we innovate, for the variety of brands and categories that we have. And it's just an exciting environment. Obviously, this is the first where we've seen huge numbers here, and there's some really, really good stuff. I haven't been here for 5 years, so I can see, the major difference in the technology.
And what would that change? How's everything changed in that 5 years, compared to your last visit?
Well, I think sustainability is screaming out, right? Mm-hmm. So that's across everything from devices, across to personal kind of devices that you're wearing. I was just in the Venetian this morning, looking into the smaller kind of startups, and there's a huge amount of variety coming out, whether it be ingredients that are seen as substrates to existing proteins that are used in foods, or for that matter, any sort of digital therapeutics that you actually wear, which improves your environment, improves your mood. So there's a wide variety, but that digital health definitely coming through.
That's great. So there's a lot of food here.
Yes, food tech.
Food tech.
In one of the main halls, and then as I said, underneath, then it's lovely to see the countries and how they're representing their startup communities.
Yeah.
And the diversity of it is just amazing.
Yeah, the Eureka Park in the Venetian has been very special this year.
Yes.
See.
And it's bustling. It's bustling.
Yeah. So is there anything that you're going to take away, or kind of, is there a trend that you're going to take away and think about over the next 12 to 24 months?
Yeah, I think, we'll have to digest everything. We've got multiple people on the floor from different departments, which is always great, where we can start to converge that data together. How important data is. We will distribute that then to all departments, and then we will use that effectively then for, not just the existing priorities, but also reshape priorities for the future.
Okay, so you bring it back, and it's helps you kind of gives you a bit of a lens.
Absolutely, yeah. And as you know, design and design-led thinking is about the digestion of relevant information, foresights, and then being able then to resurrect them into what we see as plausible solutions going forward. It allows us to create and reinvent within categories we own. And for that matter, allows us to kind of push the envelope in terms of new beverage and new food experiences that could be fruitful islands outside of what we know.
That's great. Thanks so much, Phil.
No problem.
Hi, this is John Vasopoulos, CEO of Napster and former head of music at Roblox, giving you a quick overview of my time at CES 2023. So was very excited to get back to CES and be live and in person with old friends and colleagues, and to meet new kind of partners, entrepreneurs, investors, etc., and to check out the latest in tech that Vegas had to offer. So it was a very productive week. I think in terms of trends, I sat on a couple of panels, did a great podcast, and I think definitely the consumer trend that was coming out was kind of the mainstreaming of the metaverse. So I think the first era of platforms being more of the major walled garden gaming platforms, now seeing more adoption of the metaverse and Web3 with AR and kind of metaverse integrations, etc., becoming more integrated into consumer campaigns from brands and media companies and agencies. So I think 2023 will definitely have more of this mainstreaming of adoption of this technology, where the consumer won't be thinking and hearing buzzwords, but they'll be hearing about things that add value with rewards and engagement and things that delight them from brands that they know and trust. Additionally, I think the trend is away from high ticket price, investor driven kind of NFTs to more, again, mass market, low cost, low ARPU rewards and collectibles from fans engaging with brands and artists, etc., that they care about. So broadly, consumerization as the mainstream market is being tapped.
Let's now turn to Marco Cavallo. Marco, you are CEO, a co-founder of Head Office Space. So what technologies are you looking for at CES?
We are looking for all kinds of XR related technologies.
Yeah.
Everything from haptic gloves to different kinds of headsets or other accessories that could be interesting for XR environments, right?
Yeah.
So things that could help connect digital and physical worlds.
Like, where do you see the trends in your space? What's going to happen next?
Well, we all know that the metaverse is not the next thing because it's already happening, and it's going to just keep growing every year. So we believe every year there will be new wearables and new devices that will bridge this physical and digital world. And yeah, I can't wait to come back next year and see how much more we have evolved, right? And what other cool accessories people will come with to bridge that gap of physical and digital.
That's great. Marco Cavallo, CEO, co-founder of Head Office Space. Great to have you here.
Nice. Thank you so much.
So let's now turn to Simon Crownshaw. Simon, you run media entertainment at Microsoft. Yes.
Yeah.
Tell me, what brings you to CES?
Well, obviously Microsoft has a huge presence here.
Yeah.
We turn up every year. I think obviously on the Microsoft side, it's really more about gaming, devices, automotive, the work that we do. But I think all up, I think it's a great experience and platform for companies to come together to demonstrate both enterprise and consumer-based technology. And you're seeing so many new things start to appear. And I think for the first time, even for things like the metaverse or things of that nature, right? Augmented reality, AI, ML, everything, that kind of stuff, you're really seeing it become really mainstream for the first time. Right? I think it's everywhere. It's so pervasive. So I love coming to CES. The energy's amazing.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's fun. I always talk to a lot of other folks about it. It's one of the more fun shows you get to come to, right? Because it's really about creativity. It's really about innovation.
Yeah.
Some things that you feel like, I saw that 10 years ago,
Yeah.
and it's still here, but nothing's really happened with it. And then new things that just appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So for me, it's an amazing experience just to learn as much as anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting point. I think some of these ideas or concepts have been around, like the smart kitchen or smart home, digital kitchen and things. But it seems like everything's come back with a vengeance and come back as hyper-connected.
Right.
And so a lot of the older ideas, which were a little bit harder to use, harder to implement, or even on board as a customer, suddenly like everything seems to be far more seamless and slick.
I think that was always the point, right? I mean, because for you, me, or anybody else, right, those ideas felt great, but they were so hard to use, right? Or they didn't feel connected to the rest of the way we would run our lives.
Yeah.
I think what you're now seeing is that seamless connectivity that's really just appeared, right? I mean, it's partly to do with the way that modern technology, infrastructure, cloud-based stuff really comes together.
Yeah.
There's now really amazing ways to build websites and do technology or have infrastructure or do manufacturing, for example, that has really gone on a completely different scale, right? And I think your point is incredibly valid, right? It felt hard 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel hard now to do it, right? Because all of that back-end stuff that was hard to understand is now already there.
Yeah, that's great. So any key trend that you're going to take away and think about and spin around your head in the next 12, 24 months
So there's one thing that I think drives me, especially from my role in media and entertainment, right? Which is, what is really going on with the way consumers want to experience brands or a service or a product and things of that nature. Right? Whether I'm in a car or I'm watching content on a TV, whatever else it might be, we have gone from a world where content was great. You know, we all like to find good content, whether it be live broadcasts, whatever else it might be. But now it is an entirely new environment, right? Whether I'm in my car, I saw some amazing cars while I was here this week. Right?
There's some shiny cars.
Right? But not just the performance of those cars, but the technology inside those cars, right? They're like supercomputers that you're driving around in. And they're smart, they're for sustainability, they think about the environment, you know, they're autonomous to some degree, right? And they are feeding data all over the place. So that is amazing. And I think that really just speaks to the immersive nature of experiences that we're now all kind of seeing, right? Whether on our phone, on a device, we're now making it easier for people to see a kind of a blend of the physical and the digital world together, right? You see that with some things like the denser next space that we've been talking about. But you also see that, you know, like I said, in cars. You see that in the way that we're doing research and development. You see that with the way that enterprises are working. It's all about making that feel way more connected and simple, right? I think we can go back to what we talked about before, which was those things felt hard. They don't feel hard anymore, right? It just needs to feel an important part and simple part of our lives that we can actually go and use when we want to use it. When it becomes hard, adoption takes time, right? And that's what people are moving away from.
Well, Sam Crownshaw, I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for coming.
You're very welcome. Nice to meet you.
So now let's turn to Val Vacante. She is VP of Solutions and Innovation at Dentsu. When you hit the CES floor, what are you looking for in terms of what have you seen that kind of inspires you in terms of that work that you do?
So what I'm really inspired about is, first of all, gaming, because as we know, with Gen Z, it's kind of grown-up gaming, having that behavior. So I always like to keep an eye on what's happening in the gaming space, also in the sort of connected toy and tech, because if you're looking at how kids are sort of playing, tinkering, and interacting with tech, super simple experiences, and we take that on board, then we're already designing for brands of the future. And then of course, you know, what's happening in hardware, what's happening in IoT, what's happening in wearables, and how that's going to influence XR as well.
Is there anything you can go into in terms of like the wearable space and what's inspiring you?
So in terms of the wearable, for me, it's the super simple experiences. You know, I think when we think about say 7 years ago, everybody was sort of wearing this like big hardware and you know, quantified cells and everything. And so I think Apple's done a great job with Apple Watch and having that software experience, and brands who are similarly creating those simple experiences that integrate into your everyday life.
Exactly. I think I saw a very heavy VR kit on this show floor, and I was thinking, that's not the way forward, where someone's got to strap on a massive power generator to enjoy VR. What sort of trends are you going to take away from this show? What's going to inspire you over the next 12, 24 months?
For me, it's really simple experiences. So how technology can really enable every facet of your life, right? So if you're into fitness, what's going to be just make your fitness better? You know, what's going to make your life easier? And it's like such a simple answer, but just like that example you said a moment ago, like wearing the big suit, you know, simple is hard. And so technologies that really amplify the experience, assist experiences, that's what, no matter what category, that's what we need to be paying attention to.
That's great. I'm going to look forward to that. Val Vacante, Dentsu, I really appreciate your time today.
Thanks for having me, Piers.
So the biggest trends, trend number one, amazing, we got anything done. Let's remember during the pandemic, no two engineers sat together. They were shipping parts back and forth in FedEx. The fact that anything works is amazing. But part two, the innovation is so great, and it's very practical oriented. Unlike a lot of years when there have been real flying cars and saucers, there's mow my house with a robotic mower. There's take care of the energies. There's sustainability. There's solar. There's food scarcity issues that are being addressed with technology that are so useful, helpful, and gratifying for the planet and for us. So I think for the last 2 years, we've seen a real boon in very practical-oriented technology. Okay, so the future, it's always hard to predict, and you're always wrong, but I can tell you AI is in it in a big way. Generative AI is probably the subtle murmur all through the show. You will be, if you're in advertising, the copy will be created in generative AI. If you're in graphics, you know that it's replacing art. If you're in writing, it's only the beginning. It will diagnose what's wrong with the machine you're trying to fix. It will figure out your supply chain. So think of it like anything you ever searched for before, it will make that so much richer, and that is going to ask us all what we should be doing when AI and robots and all really come to fruition. So you're seeing a lot of people talking about job training and retraining, reskilling. We will always be the inspiration, but this is the year of AI, and clearly you're seeing the beginning of the metaverse, which will happen, but it's going to take a while.
So next let's speak to Paul Veltman. Paul, you are part of Growth Enablement and you're leading this Dentsu Next space project, yeah?
That's right.
At Dentsu, yeah? And you're in from Australia, yeah? So what brings you all the way to CES?
It's a good question. So flew in Sunday. It's been a big build up to launch Dentsu Next Space. That's why we're here. But also, to get in and meet with our partners, Microsoft and LinkedIn. But essentially, we came out for this, but also just to take part in this awesome show.
That's great. So, from the conversations you've had with your partners and everybody else, kind of what's the buzz?
Yeah, I think obviously we're here for a purpose, but there's a lot of innovation that's been kind of held back for a long time, and it's great to see some of the latest and greatest stuff come to the floor. I think obviously Web3, a big talk on the metaverse, and how different individuals are tackling that. I think it's obviously just generally there's a lot of focus on coming into 2023 and what that looks like and who's going to come to the forefront. But the rapid change you're seeing within all the different products and services coming to market. But I think the most exciting for us is obviously what we're doing here with Dentsu Next Space, and the conversations, and I think even whilst we've been here, has evolved what we're now planning to do.
Yeah, I hope you all enjoyed those conversations. Varied, different, but I think everyone showed a lot of excitement about this show. Hopefully next year you can come and join me and the crew and sit and get the value that you have from not only kind of seeing technology on the show floor, but the conversations around it are even more important and amplify the opportunities that we can have as a result of everything that's happening here. Till next time, this is PSFK.